Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Team Projects. How are you? This is Mr. Argueta. Welcome back from spring break. I hope you guys had at least a little time to kind of get your minds off of the school work and focus on resting. We have very few weeks left here. And well, I guess let me start off by letting you know, for those of you who did email me during that time of last week when we were off, I apologize. I thought, and I'm pretty sure I left a prompt reply saying that I won't be available. I'll be getting back to you as soon as I get back from my spring break. I had a wonderful time. For those of you who wondered, I will try to put a picture up on our post to show you just how great of a scenery we had when we were there. We had a wonderful time with my wife. We landed in Milan, Italy, spent a day in Milan, went to the Duomo, which is like their church. It's beautiful. Did a tour of the church, did all the touristy stuff there, ate some great food, and then the following day, my wife and I spent the morning still in Milan exploring, looking at different shops and the clothing and all that great stuff. And then we ended up going to Switzerland. No, I apologize. We ended up going to Como, Lake Como, which is, it's not too far. It's about an hour away from Milan. And it was a beautiful scenery of the lake and the mountains and the beautiful Switzerland Alps. It's gorgeous. From there, we ended up moving north to a city called Bellagio, which stayed there. Beautiful. Highly recommend, if you ever get up into that part of Italy, northern Italy, to go to Bellagio. It was just very serene, very what you could picture, just this gorgeous view. We did a boat tour, a boat ride through the lake. It was cold, but it was definitely worth it. From there, we ended up driving into Switzerland and spent a day in Switzerland. We had a great time. Also, we went to a lake called Lugano, gorgeous, overlooking the Alps. Just imagine the beautiful snow-covered mountains, these just gorgeous waters, clear, came from glaciers. It was just a beautiful experience. And then work our way back to Italy and to Milan and spend a day in Milan. Ate some amazing food. We had some ossobuco. We had plenty of pasta, great pizzas, of course, tiramisus. I, as you know, am a big coffee lover, so had coffee 2-3 times a day. It just was amazing. The pastries, the food, coffee. We were walking close to 20,000 steps a day. We did rent a car. We rent a car just to be able to transport ourselves to different places without having to wait for a train. Even though it's very accessible there in Europe with trains, we decided to rent a car so we can have the freedom to go wherever we wanted to. And, we just enjoyed our time. So I want to thank you for allowing me that time to just kind of be able to disconnect and spend it and enjoy it. But here we are. We're back, and we're back stronger than ever. So here's what we got, guys. So I owe you grades for week 3. Of course, normally I grade a week afterwards, but since I've been gone, I'm trying to play catch up for the week. So think of last week as non-existent. So I'm starting to catch up. I'll be grading through week 3 this week. For the most part, week 3, we were looking at bringing in your basic research outline. I think most of us got that done. I looked at some of your outlines and they look pretty good. And our discussion of the week, we really talked about the concept of team dynamics. And this happens no matter in what team you're ever placed in. This is a very interesting concept because it occurs no matter where you go, in what form or fashion you're in. If you're put into a team, 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 people, this is going to occur. And as managers, it's our job to sort of facilitate this process, to help it. Now, something happens also if you're able to facilitate this as a leader, as a manager properly, and it's called an autonomous self-regulating team. And what happens is the team itself begins to self-monitor, to self-regulate. You could see this a lot. My wife teaches 4th grade, and I see this a lot in the 4th grade class. Once the team has gone through the forming and storming and norming, when they get to that norming and performing stage, I see a lot of the students almost react towards a student that's not normalizing, that's not behaving properly. So if you have, for example, in a class like my wife's class or my daughter who's a kindergarten teacher, if she does a sort of a standard thing of to grab their attention, they'll raise their hand and they'll stay quiet, and then all the students realize the teacher's raising their hand, which means let's sit down and behave, and they are sitting down and behave. But little Billy or little Sarah is not paying attention, is not following. The teacher no longer has to, the leader of the class or the leader of the team no longer has to say, Billy, have a seat, we're all sitting down. The class themselves will then correct Billy or little Sarah and say, Sarah, Billy, sit down. It's time to get to work. So they'll self-regulate, they'll self-adjust. The team itself will correct its own behavior. And that usually happens in an autonomous teams where they have the freedom, where the leader has empowered them and become a part of them. Now, if you recall from our leadership courses, a lot of the available, depending on what environment you're leading, but a lot of the recommendations when it comes to leading an autonomous team is creating an environment of you being a participative leader, of you taking their thoughts and opinions and allowing them to make decisions, allowing them to take their form. People sometimes fall into this autocratic mindset. They think a good leader is a leader that's going to tell you what to do all the time. That is not true all the time. That is not always the place. And a lot of people utilize the example of like the military, and they say, you see the military, the commander or the lieutenant or the sergeant or the chief, I don't know the rankings exactly, but they give the orders and the people follow the orders. Yes, that is correct, and that is appropriate for that environment, but that's not what we do in business. We need people to help us. We need people to cooperate. We need people to participate with us. We're not forcing them to do it. They're doing it because they want to be there. They're doing it because they enjoy their jobs. And if we create the right environment as leaders, we then can walk away from that disciplinary section, and the team itself will self-regulate. We'll be able to allow them the abilities to self-regulate, autonomy, control themselves, understand that they've been empowered. They know the goal. They have bought into the goal. Because remember, during storming, we're trying to figure that out. But norming, we realize what the goal is, and we are part of that goal. And then we begin to perform. So keep that in mind as a leader. I am not saying you'll never have to use a autocratic style of leadership where you're telling someone what to do. There's definitely a place for that in leadership. But for the most part in business and in a lot of our environments, we are not going to utilize that very effectively. Please understand that there is no black and white in business. There's no such thing. There's so many variables that so many things can change people's personalities, characters, environments, situations. Yes, if your life is at risk, I don't have time to ask you for your opinion. I have to tell you to do something to save your life. You're going to use an autocratic leadership style. Absolutely. If my kid was running into the street and a car was coming, I'm not going to ask my kid, hey, do you think this is a good idea? No, I'm going to tell them, stop. And they have to obey. They have to listen. But there's a time where maybe when we're not high, stakes are not too high, where we're picking out clothes and I say, what would you like? Now, my kids are older, so I wouldn't be in these scenarios, but I'm giving an example in regards to just the most basic understanding of what leadership and when it plays out. There's a place for all of these styles. There is a purpose for all of these styles. So that's stated. So I will be grading your paperwork. I'll be grading your discussions and your papers. And then this week, we have no discussion. This video is just for informational purposes. so you understand what's happening. I want to give you an idea of what's going on. But the midpoint check-in is really just give me what you already have done. Show me your current situation in executive summary. Now, I do want you to understand every member on the team must submit the same exact file. So I recommend you create a shared file, either Google Docs or Word document, whatever you want that you can upload, and everyone can upload the same exact file. The reason why I do this is because that's where I, from the, sort of the overseer of this class, the instructor of this class, I can see if one person in your team is not participating, because the team is going to self-regulate. They're not going to share that file with the person who's not participating. They're not going to give that person the ability because it's unfair, right? They haven't been part of the group. But if you're all participating, I will immediately see that result because you will all share the same file. Okay? That stated, think of this as your rough draft. What you're going to do is basically give me what you have already put together. We're in week 4, right? Week 4. There's week 5, week 6, and then we submit. That's it. So there's 2 weeks after this week, and then you're submitting your final work. So I want to see where you're at. This also gives me a chance to take a look at where you're at and be able to correct anything before it's too late. So you can still go back and do research. Now, I have received some emails from students stating, do pictures need to be cited, and what format do you need citing? So this is not an English class or a research development class. This is really, I want to verify that you know that whenever you utilize a fact or you're telling me something that's not your own thought that you've gotten from somewhere else, then you're letting me know this is where I got that information from. So I can confirm that information is actually valid and it's just not made up from some website that we found, that it's actual factual information from someone who did the study, right? Now, I don't need it to be APA. I don't need it to be in any style other than, hey, here's a fact. Dalton is composed of 53% Hispanic community. Where did you get that information from? And the easiest thing to assume is if you're giving me a fact, show me where that information is coming from. Put the hyperlink if you want. Now, don't give me these huge hyperlinks. If you copy and paste the hyperlink, right click on your mouse. It's going to let you rename that hyperlink, and you could just put there Dalton's population or Dalton's demographics, whatever year, right? Don't give me a page full of hyperlinks. Just give me right click on it and rename the hyperlink. So then when I click on it, I'm not clicking on this huge hyperlink, okay? Clean it up, make it look nice. Please utilize your tools. Utilize, if you don't know how to do what I just explained, Google it or ChatGPT it or go to Grammarly or go to Gemini. Say, how do I rename a hyperlink and link it into my paper? What else do I got for you? So next week, we're going to be discussing AI, the proper utilization of AI. Next week, it's only a discussion. You don't have to submit any work because I want you to work on your teams. I want you to work on your assignments. And then week 6 is our final thoughts and farewells. And then week 7, you submit the paper. So we're almost there. If you need me, please reach out to me. Best way to do that is through email. If we need to do a phone call or a conference call, happy to do that for you. But if you don't, keep going, guys. We're almost there. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your work you're submitting. I appreciate you. And if you haven't registered for summer, please do so right away. That's coming to an end here soon in the next couple weeks. And then, of course, we end the semester and we take a small little break and then summer kicks in. So looking forward to it, guys. I think that's it, man. Have a great cup of coffee. It is a chilly day today. I came in, it was about 40 degrees out there. I'm wearing a sweater, as you can tell. I'm missing the beautiful coffee, but I'm about to make myself a cup of coffee, a little double shot, and get my day started. It is about 8 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday morning. So sorry for a small delay. I was catching up with emails yesterday, as you can imagine, having returned on basically Saturday. Saturday. It took me a while to recuperate from a 6-hour difference, so I was a little jet lag on Sunday. I kind of in and out of sleep, doing laundry, getting ready for the week, and then, of course, came back to a bunch of emails. But hey, guys, I am super excited to see what you have in store for us in regards to these projects. Some pretty cool stuff going on out there. So that's it, guys. Great to see you back. Take care.